checkered flag is about to wave in the title race with Max Verstappen looking to be head for the title and Formula One title. There's Lando Norris just about hanging on in there. There's a swearing row going on. Lewis Hamilton's off to Ferrari, but he's being outshone by Russell at Mercedes at the moment. Bernie Ecclestone actually says Lewis Hamilton should walk away from the sport altogether. There's all sorts going on, so who better to chat to us all about it than Autosport's Ben Hunt. Ben, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, never a dull moment in Formula One, is there?
It's interesting you should say that, because there used to be quite a lot of dull moments in Formula One, and now they're on. I mean, I've left out the fact we had the whole storm over Christian Horner earlier on in the season, which seems to have died down a bit. It's been, even though Max Verstappen seems to be heading for another title, it's been a very eventful season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, it has the ability just to throw stuff up, like the Daniel Ricciardo retirement midway through the season. There's so many different points. It's quite staggering, really, when you try and take it all in. But yeah, I mean, so many talking points still. It does look like Max is going to win this Drivers' Championship. He's 62 points clear, 86 to go, so it looks like he's going to get that. But of course, all our focus will probably be then on the Constructors' Championship. Are McLaren going to get over the line and get that title, or will Ferrari come good, or will Max Verstappen and Red Bull pull it back for them? So yeah, plenty still to talk about.
Will it be on the Constructors' title, Ben? I always think neutrals or the casual watcher like us doesn't really care about a Constructors' title. It's very much a big thing for the teams, but we're only really bothered about the drivers, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Maybe at Autosport you get a bit more technical.
I was going to say, the people working in Formula One care about it. Each team, the bonus structure means that the minimum bonus is around £10,000. So, it makes a lot of difference.
£10,000 per engineer?
No, per employee. So depending on what grade you're at, but if you're working in the factory, the win bonus is around about 10 grand. So, lots of new kitchens and holidays around Brackley and, over the Mercedes years, and obviously Milton Keynes with Red Bull. Could that now be going to Woking?
Last weekend seemed to be a pretty defining moment in the title race. An amazing performance by Verstappen to come from 17th to win it, rain pouring down. You did feel that was Norris's last chance.
Yeah, I think we talk about momentum in all sports, and coming into that race, Norris had the momentum, the quicker car, everything seemed to be going his way. There was team orders in the sprint before asking his teammate to pull over and allow him through. So everything was heading in that direction. And then conversely, Max Verstappen had a dreadful qualifying, caught out by a red flag, furious, and I thought this is going to be a seismic shift in the championship. Lando would win the race and he would go on and perhaps win the championship with the momentum. But what we saw in that was it totally changed. Lap 43, heavy rain. On the same point, Max goes into the lead after a safety car restart. Lando skids off and drops down to 7th. So for me, that was the defining moment. That's where everything, the momentum stopped and turned. And now obviously it's in Max's favour again.
Ben, can we talk swearing? I mean,
I
swear a lot when I'm in the car and I'm in a 20. If I'm in a 20, these guys are absolutely flying around, putting their lives on the line. And it seemed to be that they weren't actually swearing at anyone. They were swearing about the engineers, whatever. And so, I mean, why are they being clamped down on?
Well, it's all started as a result of an interview which my colleague had done at Autosport with the FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, who has made it bizarrely at times. He's focused on issues that aren't relevant. So you may remember he focused on jewellery when he first came in, and that was obviously directed at Lewis Hamilton's nose stud. Then it switched to underwear. He wanted all the drivers to wear fireproof underwear, and it was so bizarre. And then, of course, this has now come along swearing. He wants drivers to stop swearing. I think there's two parts to it. I think part of it is what's broadcast. So F1 can decide what they play and bleep out. They hear it. All the radio messages that we hear are delayed anyway. So maybe it's a discussion that he should have had with F1 rather than talking out in the media, but he did so anyway. And then the other element is swearing in a live press conference. I think that could be dialed down. I don't think there's any need for swearing in that circumstance. But, I take your point, Henry, and you're absolutely right that we can't take the emotion out of Formula One. We can't actually see, their faces in the cockpit. We can't see their hands. They're all hidden now within the cockpit. It's kind of, there's no real like emotion. You can't see it, so it's good that we can hear it at least. And I think that we should continue to hear it. It should be played out. I don't think anyone's massively sensitized to bleeped out swear words. So, I'm all in favour of keeping it.
Just on your point that you made earlier about sort of engineers and employees being able to go out and buy 10 grand kitchens in Brackley on the back of their bonuses. I mean, I think there was a piece in Autosport last year, and you reckoned that Red Bull won $140 million as winning the Constructors' Championship. What's that, about sort of 100 million quid? That is quite a lot. First, how do they work out how much prize money is given? Is it a set thing, or is it done on points? And surely they could be a little bit more generous than giving someone half a kitchen unit.
It's difficult because there's different prize pots. So there are historic payments. So Ferrari it's all part of this complicated Concord agreement, but Ferrari entitled to a certain amount of money because they're F1's original team, being in it, every season. So they're already entitled to a certain prize winning prize pot, and then it is based on championship performance, where you finish in the championship. So yes, you add it all together, and that's probably where they're about 140 million. But you also need to remember that the way that the teams are now is that we have a budget cap. So they're limited to spending around about $140 million on the development on their car as well. So, they're actually turning into quite profitable businesses. So you've got the sponsorship coming in, you've got the money from winning the championship as well. So, it is actually, they're all in quite good health. Whereas a few years ago, before we had the cost cap, you had teams spending sort of 300-400 million trying to catch up, and they were buying their way out of trouble. Whereas now they need to be a little bit more economical, shall we say, with the decisions that they make.
So, sorry, just to clarify that, forgive my naivety, but Ferrari get an extra element because they are the sort of the founding fathers, or one of the bigger ones. I mean, how is that fair?
Well, this is what part of the old Eccleston deals to keep, Ferrari in Formula One. You may remember a long time ago that they were posturing and thinking about setting up their own championship, and that was one of the deals to keep Ferrari in Formula One. They were assured of a certain amount of money.
Talking of Ferrari, Ben, Lewis Hamilton's heading for there, but he's been outshone by George Russell at Mercedes. And Bernie Eccleston was saying that Hamilton should walk away because he thinks he may be past his best.
Yeah, Toto Wolff said something similar as well, didn't he? He said something like...
Is he not just a bit jealous, though?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He said shelf life. And, to bring this back to football, he was talking about Ferguson and Guardiola and sort of making their decisions. And, he saw the fact that he can't ignore the young guns coming through, which is why he's gone for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who's 18. And that he's replacing Lewis Hamilton, who'll be 40 in January. So, in terms of peak performance, Lewis isn't obviously going to get any better, you wouldn't assume. And, he is on the way to, down the decline. So I can understand both of those point of views. But I just know that Lewis is desperate for this one shot at Ferrari to try and win this eighth world championship, which would move him clear of Michael Schumacher. So, I can understand the emotional decision behind it all, and obviously the professional one as well.
When you get to 40 as a driver, what do you think it is that you lose that makes everybody question?
Motivation.
Motivation? Do you think he's not motivated? Surely going to Ferrari, he's going to be motivated.
And this is exactly why he's done the move, because the new challenge and being at Ferrari. Had it been at any other team, then I would have said, this is a bad move for him. But he will be fully motivated. And I think it's that getting up every day, going through the grind, the gym, certainly the pre-season stuff that he's got to go through. I think that's going to be hard, but probably not as hard as it is or has been at Mercedes, knowing that the car's not been very good. It looks like this Ferrari car could be quite good next year. So he's got the added motivation of going there to the biggest team in Formula One and proving people wrong like Bernie Eccleston.
Ben, you've covered Lewis Hamilton's career. For someone like me who's very much a step back from it, but looking at a broader picture, he seems to me like one of this country's greatest ever sporting figures. Do you think he's properly appreciated?
No, I think I've said this many times, but I think it's people just don't understand him. And I don't mean, being able to understand what he's saying, but it's just trying to identify with him. He does stand out. He is still the only black driver in Formula One. And people obviously remember the tax story that he did. He said he moved to Switzerland because of tax reasons. He was open and honest about it, and that sort of backfired. I just think that people, have this preconceived idea that he's a bit of a a bit of a show off, when in actual fact he's not. And I think the biggest thing for me is that, people say, "What's Lewis like?" And I try and tell them how I find him. But it doesn't matter. They've already made up their mind. People aren't willing to change their perception. They're convinced that they know what Lewis is like, and they don't want to hear differently. So I think it's a bit of a shame. He definitely chased it. He wanted to be loved by the British public, and I think that now he's out the other side, he's sort of at peace with knowing that he'll never be truly appreciated for the driver that he is and the achievements that he's done, and everything else that he does and continues to do outside of Formula One as well. And I think it's pretty sad that we don't back him in the way that we should do as a nation.
We've got we've got 3 Grand Prix left. You'll be at them all, I'm sure. Ben, what's next up, and what are you expecting to happen?
We've got Vegas next.
You're not sure about that one, are you?
I think it got off to a bit of a bad start last year. Timing is awkward. Night race, and we had the drain cover, which ruined a lot of stuff. But then we were saved by a good race. I think going into it now, knowing that Max Verstappen can win the title this weekend, will be interesting. And it will be interesting to see how the US react to F1 being there. Ticket sales are down on last year, so it'll be interesting to see who does turn up. And yeah, like all of them, I mean, you mentioned at the start, it's had this tendency to throw anything up, and who knows, we've still got 3 races to go and there could be more drama.
But we still expect Max to clinch it.
Yeah, I think so. That's where the smart money is.
But like me, Ben, the biggest shock of all that interview we've just done with you was Henry revealing that he swears in 20-mile-an-hour zones. I'm absolutely stunned. Who would have thought it? Ben, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the season.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.